Today, our special guest is Colleen Deemer, who is a member of the Sacred Settlement Development Team that was formed at our annual meeting in 2020, at the end of January, when we had the vote to go forward with talking about what a sacred settlement could look like here at Faith Lutheran. It's been 18 months. I think everybody's, I get a lot of questions of like, hey, what's up with the tiny houses, or where are we at? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're also going to just talk a little bit about just homelessness in general here in Forest Lake, and what the Sacred Settlement Development Team has been learning, what they've been doing, and then talking a little bit about the future. So Colleen, thank you so much for being here, for all of the things that you have been doing as well. It's been really powerful to see that transformational work. Give us a little bit of a update. What's going on? What have you been noticing?
Sure. Well, a lot has transpired in the last year and a half, and just as very recent news, it's really exciting to share. We've got a photo here. On October 3rd, David Doran, who is the veteran for whom Faith built and sponsored the tiny home that was here on our property last Christmas, outdoors near the Nativity area, was recently honored on the field of the Vikings game as one of the hometown heroes, alongside several members of the leadership team have settled. And so I just think as we kind of look back on all that's transpired, the role that we as a faith community played early on in the process in building that home for David, and to see his journey now being honored in such a beautiful way, as well as now he's actually literally walking alongside others who are experiencing homelessness from his position now. So just a really beautiful story of how we've come full circle, and how all of those efforts, those seeds, continue to bear good fruit.
That's beautiful. That house actually inspired an artist from the community who has been walking along with Settled. You can see this on the table in front of us. He hand-delivered this week, and he wanted us to be able to have this. This is his rendering. It's a woodblock rendering of the house that we built as a congregation for David. So very exciting. That house isn't here at Faith Lutheran. Hopefully, where do we anticipate that house is going to go? And I ask that more of a sense of, at one point, Faith was kind of the leader out in the front. One of the things that we're seeing now is other churches are coming along and saying, hey, this is something we could do. Tell us a little bit more about Mosaic Christian Community.
Absolutely. So Mosaic is located on the east side of St. Paul and will be the first local sacred settlement here in the state of Minnesota. So a lot of great work at Mosaic. They have completed all of their common space renovations. So they've got a shower facility, laundry, cooking facilities available for the residents. They've been grading the land. Just this past week, they got a new grading permit from the city of St. Paul in preparation for moving those homes on site. And frankly, it's been really helpful to really walk alongside and learn a lot from Mosaic through their process. So as we as a development team have looked at, kind of, hey, what could this look like for other sites in the future? What's the ideal design for a tiny home? What's the ideal footprint for a common space? And there's really a spectrum of options, right? So we received a lot of great feedback from the congregation in the form of the survey and other forms, really around things like water and plumbing and what types of facilities were most critical to have in a communal space. And so seeing how Mosaic has navigated those on their journey and what is working well for them, I think is really going to be beneficial to other congregations. The other cool part is we have seen a lot of other churches come alongside in this work, not only in sponsoring additional tiny homes, but in attending training sessions. So at Mosaic, there were 4 training sessions held over the summer to really train up a new group of people interested in the advocacy side of the work, that was attended by several of our members here at Faith, along with folks from Trinity Lutheran in Stillwater, Crossroads Covenant Church just up the road in Columbus, and a number of other local congregations. So really a cool local collaboration in the space.
Oftentimes people will say, hey, what's up with the tiny houses at Faith? Maybe it would be helpful to kind of get a sense of the pivot, and maybe even just where are we going, how are we going forward, and where's the development team kind of sensing that right now?
Sure. Well, I think early on, right, a number of members had the chance to tour Little Peach. If you remember way back, we had a model home here on our property that folks toured, and it's a very small home, but some of the feedback we got is, gosh, you know, there's a couple elements, if we could build out just a bit more, might even be more helpful and feel more comfortable in terms of having a space like that on our land. Specifically, right, having true plumbed toilets, right, in the units themselves, potentially having microwaves, maybe just a little bit more space in the tiny home. And then the other pivot that I think we've learned about is in some initial discussions around design, the thought was a standalone common house might be best utilized for shower facilities, laundry, et cetera. And I think what we've learned is, one, it's quite costly to create a new standalone building, which of course makes a lot of sense, but also there's a lot of elements there that could potentially, you know, be utilized of existing space. What we saw Mosaic do, as an example, was utilize a very small portion of their common area to put in a shower stall area, a little bit of a built out in the kitchen space, and a top and bottom washer dryer. So rather than a standalone building, they did some pretty minor renovations for a fairly low cost that was funded through other partnership churches and perfectly meets the needs of a very small community of 4 to 6 homes. So something like that we thought could work well either at a church like Faith or at other faith communities in the area.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. It could be a church like Faith. We certainly could do this, but I also think part of that pivot is knowing, seeing some of these other churches being able to make this happen, and watch and learn from them. And then also for our church to walk alongside some of these churches and say, hey, we've also done some of this work and some research. Here's how we can help you. For our congregation to know that it's not very imminent. It won't be there won't be a settlement here like in 2022 at the beginning of January, for example. But these conversations are still happening. We want this work to still be in front of our congregation. We want them to know, hey, these are some of the ways that we're feeling led by the Spirit on this, and knowing that there's a chance that this could happen at some point, but also excited how we can walk alongside others. Are there any other upcoming events that Faith could potentially be part of that if people really like to get their hands dirty and want to be part of this, that you'd recommend folks going to?
I'm so glad you asked, Pastor John. We have a build opportunity coming up on Saturday, November 6th at Woodland Hills Church. So in the parking lot of Woodland Hills, 3 new tiny homes already funded by other faith communities, already framed, and we are looking for some hands and feet to help in the construction work. So if you're interested, take a look at the weekly emails. Saturday, November 6th, we would love to get a group of folks out from Faith to help build out the next round of tiny homes. Hope to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.